Hello everyone, welcome to the second part of this course, and we're going to continue with the modeling of this fish. As you know, you can set any facial expression that you like, and we're going to keep modeling for now. We stretch a bit here, and well, step by step we almost have the shape defined. Very little left to do. I'm going to make the tail narrower, like this. And shortly we'll be done with the modeling. Okay? Perfect. Next step, for example, let's check the Dynamesh. Great. As I was saying, the next step would be to apply some color or some kind of alpha. In our case, we will directly apply some color, nothing else. So for this, here we have the eyes, and here we have the fish, okay? We select the standard brush. We check the mRGB box, which enables us to paint both materials and objects. We disable this box here. And now we can choose any default material. And we can paint the model now with a color. I'm going to choose a yellowish color, for example. Then we click Fill Object. With this, we paint the fish with this material and color for good. Okay, Fill Object is used to fix the color and the material to the object. Good. Now we can just turn the brush size a bit. Choose another color, like for example, a bluish color. And now we can draw some details on the fish. We can, for example, paint this blue. Okay. Like this. And definitely give some more color to the character. You don't have to overload it with details or colors, but just a bit more color makes it look better, okay? Something like this. And we can paint the bottom part white, for example, okay? Like this. Okay. You have to be careful not to go over the edge. And remember, hitting C on the keyboard, we select the eyedropper tool, okay? For example, the fin on top, we can choose maybe a lighter blue. Let's see. And we can paint it. Or we can even choose, let me undo this. We can choose, as I was saying, an alpha brush. This one, for example. And now we choose this option here, drag rect, in order to use this alpha image as a brush. So we created some kind of stamp. Okay? Something like this. And now the tail. Now let's get back to regular alpha brush. Let's hit C for the eyedropper, and let's keep painting here using the dots option. Okay, we can choose a darker yellow in order to give the finishing touches to some parts of the model. And finally, we'll paint the eyes as well. In this case, we'll paint them white. Okay. And we'll get a darker blue for the pupils, which we'll do it easily. We can get an alpha brush with less degrading, and then we hit X for symmetry, and we can draw the pupils. It could be something like this. Of course, the more time you put into the process of creation of the character, in this case a fish, the coloring, etc., the better the result will be. Alright, so when you finish with the coloring, we start joining the pieces together. And for this, we select the fish's body and click on Merge Down to merge it with the objects underneath it, or we can also use Merge Visible to merge it with all visible objects. Click on it, click OK, and we have merged all objects for good. Okay, now you will see we have a 3D object with too much polygons, and what we need now is to optimize this object, okay? So to optimize this object, there's many procedures, but there's the most used one is to duplicate this object. Now we have two fishes, and in one of them we'll apply Z remesher, this one for example, okay? So we turn down target polygon count to between 0.8 or 1 here, and we hit the Z remesher button and wait for the results. With these, we will diminish the number of polygons in the fish. So we had about 500,000 polygons, and now we have 4,000. Okay, and this is the result. As you can see, we lost the color, but we gained a lighter mesh in return. Okay, in order to get the color back and for the surface to be a bit more like it was before, we activate the duplicate fish, which as you can see, they are one on top of the other. And with both low poly and high poly objects activated, we navigate to Project, we hit Project All, and now we click Yes. As you can see, doing this, we get some detail from the high poly model into the low poly object. See? This is what we're going to do next. We take the low poly model and we hit Divide. And once again, we repeat the first steps. Activate both models and click Project All. Little by little, as you see, we put in a bit more detail from one model to the other. In this case, we're not coloring the model, but we are taking some of the features from the high poly object to the low poly, little by little. Now we only have 16,000 polygons, so we can subdivide again, and we repeat the operation. Okay, activating both models and clicking Project All. We're putting more and more detail every time we repeat the operation. And if you want to paint the model using the high poly object, we navigate to Texture Map for a moment. We make sure there's no painted texture, and we paint the model white. Let's see if we can get the color from one model to the other, repeating the operation we do to increase detail on the model. Okay, let's click Project All, and that's it. Since we painted the model white, we made the color go from one model to the other. Let's take a look. Let's click Subdivide, and we do the same process again. Project All. See, now we have this model with a maximum of 260,000 polygons, and it's exactly like this other model, which has 477,000 polygons. All right? We also did something important to get the UV map later, which is the fact that now the low poly model has different, as you see, subdivision levels, which is very important in order to be able to animate it properly. We can even get another subdivision level, activating the high poly version, and click Project All again in order to finish allocating all the polygons and obtain a very precise model. Okay, now we have a million polygons, so we're going to delete the high poly version, which is actually lower poly than the low poly version now. But the important thing is that we have different levels of subdivision now. So we select this one and click delete here. Okay. We have the model colored already and with different subdivision levels. Now what we want to do is get the UV maps out of this model. Okay, for this we go to Z plugin, choose the option. Let's see, it's around here somewhere. Here it is, UV Master, okay. And we check the option Work on Clone, okay. As you see with this option, we just created a clone, which is here. This is the older model. And it's a low poly clone of the fish. Now we have to get the UV map. A UV map is the texture of the fish in 2 dimensions. I mean, flat. So, in a sense, we have to cut this model in order to unfold the UV map, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to take the Z plugin module and we're going to drag it to this side. There it is. Now we check Enable Control Painting in order to activate color control, okay? We have different controllers here like Protect, Attract, and Erase in order to protect, attract, and erase the seams. Okay, so we're going to use Protect first, and we're going to paint everything with Fill Object to protect the part that you don't want to be cut, okay? Now, we have to mark the parts where we do want to cut the model to create the UV map, okay? So click on Attract, and now we paint a line that will go all the way around the fish through the middle in order to cut the UV map. So we start from here. We can turn down the draw size a little, yeah. And we start painting carefully around the fish. If you don't get the idea, you'll see when I show the resulting map, okay? So we keep going like this edge here. There it is. Okay. It would be kind of like cutting the model in two in order to get out the UV map, kind of, which is the textures in 2 dimensions. Here we'll cut around, so we'll make the texture be composed of various pieces. So one piece would be the body of the fish, another one would be this one right here, another one would be the fins. Okay, now we cut through here, like this. And for the mouth, we can just cut like this. There it is. Now, in this part, the same. We cut like this. We paint around here. So you are telling ZBrush to cut the UV map through here. So in theory, we wouldn't need anything else. Let's see the results now, and we can decide later. We can paint here too, and here, so this can unfold properly, and we can make another cut here, maybe. Okay. All right, now that we've done all this, you'll get why we did it if you didn't know already. Let's click Unwrap, we wait, and even if nothing happens, if we click Flatten, we'll see the texture surrounding the model, flat, like in 2 dimensions. Let's click it, and as you see, we get the body of the fish. As you see, the texture is stretched flat, and we can see here the fins, for example. Okay, let's click on Flatten for a moment. If we click on Check Seams, we can see where the cuts were made on this model. Don't worry if some of the orange lines don't appear where we draw them, because what ZBrush does is to make an interpretation of what we did. I mean, we have the program to cut the texture through the best side. In this case, what ZBrush did was to cut the model through the top. The fins weren't cut, and on the bottom of the model, there wasn't a cut either, because when the texture unflattens, is not necessary. As the eyes are separate because we merged the objects but didn't apply a Dynamesh, we can see the cut is made towards inside. So don't worry, because it's all good. ZBrush is not the best program to do this, but for the animation we want to do afterwards, it's more than enough. After we unflatten the texture, we click on Copy UVs. Okay, and now we switch to the model we were making, which is here. Click on it, and click on Paste UVs. And automatically we have painted the model. So we've taken the UVs from the other model to this one, and we have the UV maps here. Okay, I have a problem with this zone here. There it is. I'm going to switch to Material Channel for a moment and click Fill Object. Okay, done. Now we have the UVs. To check everything was made properly, we go to Texture Map, and we can see under Create that all of these options aren't grayed out anymore, which they actually were before. Now we click on New from Polypaint, and we can see that we have the flattened UVs here. Perfect. Click on Clone Texture. It goes to the Texture section here. Click on Texture. We can see it here. And now we just export it. Clicking on Export. We type color. We set the file type to PNG or JPEG, for example. And click Save. All right, now we have exported the color map. To export the next maps, we lower the subdivision level to 2. Click on Displacement Map, which is here. And click on Create and Export Map. Okay, type in a name, and we save the file in TIFF format. Click on Yes. Now we go to subdivision level 1 and finally get the normal map, which is here. We don't have to check or uncheck any option here, so we just click on Create Normal Map and we wait. And now we see the map here. We clone it with this button here, so it gets there. And now again, click on Texture. See? And we export the normal map. And that's it. That's enough. Click on Save. And now we have all the maps we need for what we're going to do in this course. Great. Now the next step, if you have Cinema 4D installed on your computer, you can download this plugin, which is free. in order to be able to easily export it from ZBrush to Cinema 4D. This plugin, as I said, is free and you can find it in ZBrush's website or in Cinema 4D website. I can't seem to remember which one of those, but it's completely free. When you have installed the plugin, you'll see these options here like GOZ and all. If we hit any of those, in this case we'll use GOZ, it'll export this model directly to Cinema 4D. So click here, hit continue, and it'll open the program we've chosen. In this case, Cinema 4D. As you see, the exportation is automatic. So automatically we have the model here, as you see. And the good thing is we have it with the texture perfectly fitted and with the right channels. For example, we have the normal map here and the color map here. Okay. See? We could use, for example, a light source and we could see that it looks perfect. We can even set a subdivision surface so it looks even better. Alright, so we're going to save this part of the document and we'll continue in the next video of this course, in which we'll put some bones into the model. So, see you in the next lesson. Bye bye.